Hello.
Oh, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Yep.
hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Great. I'm just doing my volume up a tiny bit. Ooh, I had this all set up before and I looked fabulous.
I, Trust me, I know the feeling. Always have everything in place until it's time to go on the air.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Uh, just to let you know, well, you probably know that the session is going to be recorded.
Right.
I'll be edited to actually take out this intro that we're doing now, uh,
Right. Okay.
and it will be posted on a couple of places, including YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
on, on I have a channel called I Am Ready Network, which we post most of our recordings.
Uh-huh.
We've been having some issues with some of the quality, mhm,
Mm.
but we try to get most of them posted. And it's really
Right.
to give exposure to people, mhm, for our different platforms.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Right. I am. All right. Hold on one second. My light source is giving me a little issue here. Oh no. Okay. We're just gonna go with that.
Okay.
Do I look like really too dark or
No, you're fine.
okay?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, great.
Okay. So let's, as they say, let's get this party started.
Okay.
All right, let me just go through my intro.
Hmm.
Hello and welcome to the I Am Well Holistic Health and Wellness Podcast. I Am Well is an I Am Possible Mall entity which has a mission to transform lives through education, experience, and exposure. I am your host, Darren Wright, an integrative holistic health and wellness coach. I spent most of my career as a corporate consultant, trainer, and college instructor, and all of my career as an entrepreneur. When it comes to health and wellness, I believe in following a natural approach, one that is aligned with nature as much as possible. My guest tonight will share her knowledge to help us strengthen our relationship with nature. Now, nothing you hear in this session is to be interpreted as medical advice. This session is for informational purposes only. We are simply sharing insight based on our knowledge and experiences. You should always consult with a qualified medical professional to address your specific needs on issues regarding dietary health or medical issues. Before we begin, I simply ask that we have a moment of gratitude. Giving gratitude has proven to be beneficial to our health and wellness. Just take a moment and express gratitude for something or someone in your life. All right. It is my pleasure to introduce Audie Odum-Stellato, a certified nutritionist, herbalist, and shiatsu, I hope I pronounced that right, uh, TCM practitioner, and fitness dance instructor. She was introduced to medicinal herbs and natural healing techniques by her grandmother, who grew up in the Geechee Islands of the South, which I always find interesting because I believe we are slowly transitioning to the old ways of doing things when it comes to our health
Mm,
and wellness. Mhm.
mm.
Through the years, Audie has studied and benefited from using natural remedies for herself, her family, and her students. She believes that maintaining good health is a multifaceted uh, that is, yeah, excuse me, maintaining good health is multifaceted. It depends on what we eat, how we move, how we live, and basically it's our lifestyle choices. She has a healthy living blog and will soon be offering classes on her website, kaleandhappiness.com. In this session, we will discuss the various aspects of herbs and how you can incorporate them into your health and wellness regimen. Welcome again, Audie, and it's glad to have you back. How have you been?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been great. Great.
Awesome. I just want to, start out, reading your profile, and I'm thinking about where I am now with my, health and wellness. You
Hmm.
know, I always tell people when I was younger, I always associated health and wellness with physical fitness,
Uh-huh.
you know, and it's interesting that you see it as being multifaceted. I The more I learn, the more I realize just how multifaceted it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Uh, when I first started studying, I've studied different things, and when I first started studying, it always seemed like, okay, well, we've got this fabulous herb for you. And then to supplement it, we're going to have greens, or we're going to have, more protein or something like that to supplement the herbs. And then it was always like, okay, well, then if we started eating right first place, then we probably wouldn't have that. And then that would give us more energy so we can move around. And then we won't have some other issues. And then if we weren't messing with people who really don't have our best interests at heart, then, it's just like layer on top of layer on top of layer.
yes. Mm. And I also visualize it almost like a circle. So, you ask, where does the circle begin? know,
Yeah.
um, because I found as you work with people, like I said, you talk to people, you listen to, people like instructors and teachers. The more like I said, the more I learn, I say, okay, where do I jump in?
Yeah.
What just came to mind when I said where do I jump? I'm thinking about growing up and watching young girls do double dutch,
Oh, yeah.
jump, and you watch them go, back and forth to figure out where do they
Yeah.
jump in. Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and I kind of see that when it comes to beginning your health and wellness journey. Now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
people
Mm-hmm.
will ask me, where do I start? And I say, it's kind of tongue in cheek, but I say, you start right from where you are because you can't start from anywhere else.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes it just takes like one article that says something about greens. I'm really into greens, so forgive me
Okay,
if I mention a
go
lot.
for it.
And then they think, oh, well, maybe a salad isn't so bad. Okay, I'll have a. I don't like it, but what the heck, I'll have a salad. And that could be the seed that just propels them into other things.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, where wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, if it's, you hear of a class on capoeira. Oh, I don't even know what the heck that is, but it looks like they're having fun. I can use some more fun in my life, and I can
mhm,
get some exercise. So what the heck?
mhm.
So you're right. Just start wherever you are and go with that gut feeling of, um, I feel like this is going to serve me well. I feel like it's going to serve my body well. Even if you don't have the specifics, even if you don't know all the constituents of greens and all the vitamins and nutrients, it doesn't matter. You just, like you said, start exactly right there
Yeah. Mhm.
and learn that later.
Yes. uh, and that's a very true statement. I tell people, don't try to go from 0 to 100 in your first leap. Mhm.
No.
Uh, And for me, as I was trying to inspire people, encourage them, empower, I had to change my own language because I used to always say about becoming, you know, you want to eat, you want to do things to become healthy. And I realized that was too general. And for some people, it was just like, whoa, because people had this image, I think, of what it means to be healthy.
Yes.
So I just said, become healthier. And I stress the
Yeah.
er.
Right. Or even to come up with something very specific. Like I had a student who was talking about how uh lately when she got up, like if she was sitting for a long time, she would feel stiff and everything. And I could have said, oh, you know, if you did this rigorous stretching exercise, it would, you know, but if you say, there are a couple of stretches that can help you with that stiffness.
Mhm.
It's just a tiny little thing. Um, and then, it can grow into, well, maybe there's a little bit of arthritis. What can we do for arthritis? So what can we eat to make us feel a little bit better so we can do the things we really want to do?
Mhm.
So that you're right. In the language in where we approach people, um, it's so important. But yes, to say, oh, get healthier, get fitter, lose weight. It's just sort of pie in the sky. What does that actually mean? And it means something completely different to everybody.
Yes. Mhm. Mhm. So like I said, I was trying to encourage people to just make decisions that move you forward. Don't try to
Right.
jump over to the end. So, whether it's adding something to your diet or eliminating something, you know,
Hmm.
uh, well, first I always say, it's really working on people's mindset.
Yeah.
So, like for the first week or so, I would just get them to start learning, reading, figuring out where they actually are, what they want to
Hmm.
achieve,
Hmm.
uh, just so that they can have in their mind what
Right.
health means to them. Mhm.
Right. And also to acknowledge that you can be healthy,
Mhm.
because there are some people who just they get to a certain age or they're a certain demographic or whatever. Oh, this is what's going to happen. No, understand that. you know I'm a certain age, so I'm just waiting for the arthritis to just kick in right now.
Yes.
Understand that you can be healthy, believe that you can be healthy, and
Yes.
there is the first start.
Mhm.
If you believe that, then it sort of opens your mind to, okay, maybe there's something I can eat or a tea I can drink or an exercise I can do that can do that. But if you're just stuck in the, I'm female, so I'm always going to have, reproductive problems, or I'm a man over a certain age, I'm just waiting for the heart attack. So,
Yeah. It's interesting that you uh, say that because I recently attended a virtual summit on aging.
mhm,
And it's one of the things that many of the doctors stress. They said, we have this image in our mind of what it means to get old,
mm,
such a false image. We
mhm,
equate being sickly, being fragile with aging. And, they said becoming fragile is not really a result of aging. It's really
mm,
a result of, you know, not using our
right,
body, not moving, not taking care of it, which makes us
right,
fragile. It's not age in and of itself.
mhm. That's
There are people
absolutely
all over the world that have proven that
right.
you can age and be very much healthy. You know?
Exactly, exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
so let's actually talk about what I know you for is
Hmm.
being, you know, the wonderful herbalist. All right. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, so, in your bio, you said your first exposure was through your
Mhm.
grandma. Uh,
Yes.
what do you remember of those days, and how old were you when you were first exposed to?
Oh, young. Like it was all my life, really. I think I remember when I was 6. I probably told you the story before. Of saying, "Oh, I have a stomach ache." I don't remember what it was, and she says, "You just sit right there," and she would go and she brewed up something and handed me a cup of this brown, bubbling, sludgy looking something. You better drink it all. you know so and it all worked. It always worked. So when she was coming up, there wasn't a doctor on every corner.
Mhm.
There wasn't a hospital, and even if there were, because of the way she looked, she may not be admitted.
Mhm.
um and their family knew that, so it was a matter of self-reliance.
Mhm.
and being able to rely on the plants that are outside your door, or maybe a neighbor has a plant growing in their backyard that's going to help you. Um, there were, people who strived and really got to know a lot more plants, But then there were the everyday things that everybody kind of knew. Springtime, you do your cod liver oil.
Mhm.
You have your bitters. You do, there are just some things that everybody kind of knew. This is what you do this time of day, this time of year. This is going on with you. You just need to be cleaned out
Mhm.
or something like that. So, which today we don't really think about. We think about, oh, I've got this issue going on. I better go see a doctor. Have somebody tell me what's going on with me. Um, so then you've got the doctor bill and then the prescription, which may not work the first time. So they give you another prescription. You have to pay for that one too. And meanwhile, you're still sick and not feeling any better. I yes, the doctors have made huge strides, and yeah, eventually you can get better. But what if you knew of something that was growing right outside your door? You can make a tea of it, or chop it up in your soup or your stew, and you can start feeling better right away. So it was really what she really kind of instilled in me was that idea of self-reliance. And although she didn't say it, but it was a connection with nature that was so very important. So when you're weeding the garden, oh, this is really good for this. We shouldn't throw this out.
Mhm.
You know, throw that in with a pot. That'll make a good whatever. So yeah, that was sort of my earliest experiences with it, with herbs.
Yeah, and I really find it interesting again that where okay, a couple of things. We can pretty much agree that our current healthcare system is not working.
No,
Uh,
not.
and then to learn and understand that, modern medicine or doctors, they're not trained in the power of the innate ability of the body to heal itself.
Ah, yes.
We have this thing where, first of all, everything's compartmentalized. You know,
Mm,
you have an illness, let's treat the symptom.
mm,
When the solution doesn't work, well, now let's treat that. Let's
right.
treat that. And
Mhm.
my thought has always been, we're moving further away from the source. I
Yeah.
I believe that there's that we are an extension of nature, and I always say we're an extension of nature because nature was here first. And I think that's where our the power of our health is. How can we really align with nature?
Mhm.
And I think most people have become afraid,
Mm.
or they see it as what I like to say to people, they see it as woo-woo stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really unfortunate because that's nature is you.
Exactly.
Um, so I love to hear when people share their stories of something that they learned from an older person.
Mm.
So we're
Hmm.
slowly coming back to that. Uh,
Yeah.
Probably for some of the same reasons. Like for
Mm.
instance, I just started, like I said, I relocated. I just started learning how to grow produce. All
Ah.
right. Well,
Uh-huh.
uh, it's been a wonderful experience,
Yeah.
uh,
Can
and
be.
it's brought me closer again to nature, which has also helped me take better care of myself. It's kind
Mm.
of this natural, like I almost feel like you can't do one without the other. It almost just happens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So when it comes to uh, like herbalism, and first of all, let's kind of set some terms here. Is herbalism the same as herbal medicine?
That's a good question. Herbalism, herbalism likes to consider all plants as medicine.
Okay.
So it's not specifically what one tends to think of as medicinal herbs. It could be nettles or burdock root or something like that. Or and it could be carrots and cabbage.
Mm,
So herbalism really likes to take the umbrella of using plants as medicine,
mm.
all plants, not a specific plant.
Now, I'm glad you actually said that because I was watching uh, a gentleman, I guess, who's also uh, an herbalist, and he said something. He said, "You know what? We need to be careful that people follow a naturopathic approach. That we don't do the same thing that modern medicine does." And he said,
Absolutely.
"Just make the assumption that oh, this person has this issue. This plant will
Yeah.
cure that issue." He
Yeah.
said you cannot do that. Um, that
Yeah.
it's actually again much more holistic, even within the area of herbalism. You can't take that. So is that pretty
Right.
much what you're saying? You know,
Absolutely. So now there are schools of herbalism that do take that allopathic approach, wherein there's an illness, we make up a formula to treat that illness. Um, and oddly enough, they because they have, I guess, more acceptance with the FDA and people understand when you throw Latin names at them, uh, that it's more educated. Um, that's more accepted. Now, in looking at it as the whole body or the whole being, really, not even the whole body.
mhm,
Because yes, a stomach ache could be, oh gosh, so many different things. And you can't just treat a stomach ache. It could be the stomach itself, it could be a liver, it could be the intestines, it could be, nerves, so many different things that it could be. So if you're just treating upset stomach, that's fine, but that's not addressing their nervous condition or their imbalance in their liver. It's not really doing any of that. Um, Also, okay, so if their upset stomach is caused from a nervous condition, why are they nervous?
mhm,
Let's explore that. So um so I came from the wise woman tradition of herbalism. And so in working with someone, you would say, okay, let's have a session where we're talking about your issues. And then we've got a medicinal tea. And then maybe we've got some journaling exercises for you or uh, some type of massage that you can do on your abdomen. Okay. So, yeah. So, in that way, we're trying to treat the whole person. Um, and yeah, Western medicine does not really tend to do that. And there are schools of herbalism that kind of fall into the Western mode of practice as well, which is unfortunate. But I understand that they're trying to get accreditation and they're trying to be bona fide. Um, so I don't know whether it really is helping the cause. In some ways, I don't think it is.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can leave that to, I guess, to our opinions. Uh,
Right. Exactly.
uh, uh, because it does seem like we're falling. Okay, plant medicine would definitely, in most cases, would be better. Uh, we still can have side effects,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, but it's something in my heart that says we know overall it's the better option.
Mm,
But if we are not treating, again, the whole being,
mm,
and I would even extend it like it's the whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or even spiritual, you
mm,
know, or as they say, our our illnesses are usually on one of the other levels. They manifest physically,
yeah.
but they're usually in an area that we can't see, whether that's emotional, which we can possibly see, mental, maybe, but spiritual, maybe not. Maybe there's a disconnection, which I believe that that's one of our major issues
Mm-hmm.
individually and collectively is that we're just totally disconnected, you
Right.
know, to the point we're disconnected from reality.
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know, uh, so getting to that point of being able to treat the whole being to find out, yeah, what's going on in their life. That stomach ache could be, yeah, could it be something that they just ate, or could it be from stress? Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And what's
Mm-hmm.
causing the stress? Uh,
Exactly.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
I had a recent experience of going through uh, physical tests for becoming a potential donor, organ donor, and they flagged me at the end because they said your pressure went up. You know, and I thought, well, that kind of makes sense. My pressure would go up. I'm going through all these tests for uh, for my daughter. So this is a stressful thing. But I thought it was really interesting because they the experience proved what I had been reading and hearing about. The first thing they suggested was, well, go see your primary care physician so they could put you on a medicine. They
Mm,
never asked me, is
mm-hmm.
there something going on,
Right.
that's causing your blood pressure to shoot up? I mean,
Right.
given the fact that I am in the space of becoming an organ donor, which means, as somebody told me, you're going to have surgery that your body doesn't need.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and then it's for your child. Yeah, it was pretty stressful. So, yeah, but that never came
Yeah.
up in the conversation. It was
Right.
like, yeah, let's give you some, pills
Mm,
and hope that you get better. Well,
right.
whatever causes my blood pressure to go up is still there.
Exactly. 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 Uh, exactly. Um, yeah, they kind of tend to miss the boat. And I'm very sorry to hear about your daughter. I hope everything is going going well. Um, but yeah, to your point, they do kind of miss the boat there, and they do especially, well, not especially, I shouldn't say that. Women tend to see this a lot. I had the fortune or misfortune of working at a hospital for a short time in administration. And basically, cut a long story short, basically being female, they just sort of assume that you are ill. You have too many moving parts, too many things can go wrong. Oh my gosh, something's wrong with you. Um, and in some ways you can think, okay, that's financial because, you know, make a lot of money out of someone who is quote unquote ill or who's going through a menses or who's going through perimenopause or menopause. Um, and coming back to the basic thing of what is actually going on. Yes, we can medicate it, but maybe maybe they have a nutritional deficiency. Maybe they're stressed out at work. Maybe they have to go through PMS and still work an 8, 9, 10 hour job, 40 days, 5 days a week. that's enough to make anyone ill, you know. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Uh, Again, you just mentioned a key word that I'm learning more about recently is how nutrient deficiency
Mhm.
causes a lot of issues. One
Oh,
in a recent thing that I learned was anxiety.
absolutely.
Uh, some of the nutrient deficiencies that could trigger someone's anxiety. And
Hmm.
I think we we miss that as a society, as from a health perspective.
Hmm.
We don't I don't think we realize how important what we put in our bodies or don't put in our bodies, how that really
Right,
plays out.
right.
You know, and I kind of see, you start off with your basic diet, eating healthy,
Hmm.
and then you add the things like, becoming, herbs, essential oils, those kind of things, are I kind of see as somewhat, I want to say an addition, but that almost makes it separate. I
Mm.
see those as,
Complimentary.
yeah, complementary, you
Hmm.
know, and like I said, I don't think we're at the point. I see the transition.
Hmm.
When you're a little further ahead, you want everybody else to hurry up.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
why don't you
Absolutely.
see this? Uh,
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. I was speaking with someone, they had just heard about nettles, someone who's not really in the herbalist community, and they just heard about nettles. They were asking me about it, and they're like, "Oh, it tastes awful." Well, yeah, but but there are things that you can blend it together with, and then what I really wanted to put across to them is how, yes, the more you drink it, the more you can get used to it. Yes, you can put it into your soup. Yes, you can cook things with it. Um, it really it's one of those herbs that has so many nutrients in it. It actually could be a you know not a meal, but uh, a very nutritious thing to imbibe. So, in other words, it could complement, it can give you a lot of the nutrition that you're probably not going to get in your everyday life if you are just running the 9 to 5 and skipping meals or gorging at dinner time and, no eating, you know. So, the practice of actually having nutritional teas and herbs and uh, really can help with your health if you know that, again, if you know that you're kind of deficient in some things, like if you know that you're low in magnesium, or if you know that your iron is kind of low, having a regular thing of nettles or for iron, some beetroots, and just not thinking of it as, oh, I'm going to have my medicine now, just thinking of it as, I had a salad, I had some protein. I'm going to have my nettle tea. It's, it's part of the meal.
mhm. It's yeah, and it's like getting people away from thinking about dieting
Yeah,
versus it's a lifestyle. You know,
right.
uh, I posted something several weeks ago where I took a picture of things that I grew.
Mhm.
I showed the seeds.
Mhm.
Right? I showed the part that I consumed, and I
Mhm.
showed the other part that was going to go in the compost. I said it's a full cycle. I said now to some it might seem tedious or time consuming. I said, but no,
Mhm.
it's a lifestyle.
Mhm.
You know? And as you start to do it, it becomes more natural.
Right, right. I have a garden as well. Um, and this year I kind of scaled it back a little bit because I wasn't going to be able to get to it as often as I wanted. Um, but I had enough greens for salad. Every week I came home with like a bag of greens.
Hmm.
Now, in the beginning, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm doing all this digging and I'm putting my hands in compost and the worms and it's like, ugh, how disgusting is this? But then later on in the year, I'm like, okay, you know what? I just got some free greens, you know, and my tomatoes. I got some tomatoes to go with the greens, and I have a nice salad. Uh, what worms? Who cares?
Right. Uh, uh, Again, you mentioned gardening, and I'm thinking about this is my first season where I really put something into,
Uh-huh.
I put effort into it. Prior,
Mm.
prior to that, it was before I moved to New Jersey. The closest I did was I threw some tomato seeds in a pot, and
Mhm.
it actually started growing. I got one tomato that was about that big, you know,
Okay.
and I was happy with it. It was a good.
Yeah.
Uh, then I got down here and I took it to another level. I haven't to the point where I'm trying to scale back. I'm still trying to scale up, but I I just went through. I'm a plant any and everything.
Hmm.
This is going to be not about being perfecting it. It's about just having the experience of seeing what grows and what doesn't.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely.
and I really say to people, it's been a great experience. Some things
Yeah.
grew and grew and grew, and some things didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's a wonderful gardening is such a wonderful metaphor for the rest of your healthcare.
mhm,
And so, okay, so maybe you started having your salad and you're like sick and tired of salad and it's just not doing it for you anymore. You're ready to move on to something else. Okay, so maybe it's kale. I don't know if anyone actively goes out and has kale, but um, but maybe it's kale. You figured, hey, I don't need as much of it. It's really green. It's popular. Everybody's eating it. What the heck? How bad can it be? It's all a learning process. And then maybe a few months from now, you discover another plant, or you discover an herb that is really delicious, and you just love it to death. And then you find out it has all these nutrients in it. Oh, this is great. It's learning first being open to the experience and being okay with I'm sick and tired of salads. Now I'm ready to go on with something else, but not, toss it all aside and say, forget it. I'm not going to do any greens ever again. Um, being willing to go on to something else. There's kale, there's collards, there is nettles, which is an amazing green. I keep mentioning that, I know.
mhm,
Even cabbage. And so everyone sort of goes through seasons.
mhm,
There are some times when I have a tea mixture that I make and I just love it. And I'm drinking it every day. And then one day it's like, eh, I'm not feeling it anymore. Um, that's when you start getting into the following your own intuition,
mhm,
following, I say, following your taste buds, because there is a knowledge that your body knows, that your spirit knows, that your brain hasn't caught up with.
I like that.
So when I'm having this tea, every day for a couple of months, and then my body is like, you know what? We've had enough of that. We need something different. And then my taste buds are like, I'm not really feeling that. That's how I know. And that's when I pay attention. I don't try to force myself to have it some more,
Mhm,
you know.
mhm,
And I think a lot of people they get put off very often by the price of healthy foods.
mhm.
Here I am, I paid all this money for this stuff. I ate it a few times, I'm done with it. What a waste of money. Well, maybe you only needed it a few times.
Mhm.
Maybe you can pack it away, put it in the freezer, and have it later, you know.
Mhm.
Um, it's that instant gratification and once I got it, that's it. That's it for life. And if it doesn't work for the rest of my life, then this whole thing, this wooey stuff,
Yeah.
is just not, it's not worth it.
Mhm. I say to people when they, because one of the common responses that, you get from people is, oh, I just don't like the taste of it. I don't like
Yeah.
healthy food. It's so bland or it's so this, it has a weird
Right.
taste. No, I, you know, share with them. I said, the taste buds change every 14 days. Hmm?
Mm.
And I think the rule of thumb, I think for children, they say that you have to give it to them maybe 5 to 7 times before,
Mm-hmm.
7 times before they, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, but your body will change, but you got to give it time.
Right.
We we've been conditioned again, mentally and we'll say physiologically,
Right.
our food that if it's not sweet, salty, or has the right amount of fat, it doesn't
Right.
taste
Right.
right. And then we
Right.
don't give what we need a
Mm-hmm.
chance.
Right.
The other thing that I was just explaining, to people, and this goes to your point about the body knows what it needs. I said, what you're going to find is after a while, your body is going to ask for
Mm-hmm.
the healthy stuff and it's going to reject the unhealthy, almost as if it innately knows this is
Mm-hmm.
what this is what I've needed. And now
Yes.
you're giving it to me. Don't give me that other stuff, don't give me any more of
Right.
that, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I am a believer that yeah, the body just knows
Mm-hmm.
what it needs. Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, sometimes, well, I had an experience a while ago. I was going through some health issues and I was just introduced to burdock root, which is an amazing tonic, is great for your liver. It helps get what is that like that scale through in your arteries, just helps clean them out and just really helps to get the toxins and the heavy metals and things out of your organs and on a very a deep level. So I was just introduced to burdock root and I really didn't know a whole lot about it. It was one of those things where I was at a workshop and the instructor was like, "Oh, it does this and this and this and this and this and this. So next we're going to go into another one." Oh, okay. Uh, so so I tried it, and to me, it was the most delicious thing. I was drinking burdock root like every chance I got. I thought it was fabulous. How could anyone not like this? And then I was with a group of these amazing herbalists, and I was telling them about my experience. Oh, burdock root's great. Just okay, you're going through some stuff, right? Because burdock root is not good tasting stuff. It's not something that you seek out. So, like, oh, okay. Well, I guess it worked. But yeah, yeah, that listening. And sometimes if you have too much information,
Mm,
um, like for example, when you say things that don't taste good, bitters,
mhm,
which is one of those. Well, there are certain herbs that are bitters, and then there are um, combinations that are put out on the market. Swedish bitters is a big one. There are a lot of different bitters out there, and way back when, maybe not even 100 years ago, it was a regular thing that people would have a little bit of bitters in a bit of water as an aperitif before a meal.
mhm.
It just helps your digestive system get ready to digest food, especially if it's heavy or fatty food. Works really well. Um, but with our modern taste buds, it's not delicious. You're not going to seek it out. But I'm sure that 100 years ago, someone was saying, "Oh, we're going to have a big meal. Got to get those bitters in." You
Yes.
know,
Mm,
it was just something that you were used to. Your body was sort of trained. Um, but now, if you tell someone, "Oh, let's have some bitters," like, no, 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 no. Well, I'd rather have the bitters and deal with bitter flavor than have to later on deal with medical procedures and pharmaceuticals
mm,
and all of that. I mean, you know, it's so much easier and better to me.
yes. I started buying bitters maybe I don't know, say 3 years ago. I don't remember, but I buy them. Recently, I've been researching how to make. Oh, I haven't gotten it yet, but
Oh, oh, we can do a whole thing on that.
okay.
Oh God, you can
Oh,
come up with the most amazing flavors. But anyway, go ahead with your.
okay. Well, definitely we'll have you back to have that discussion
Oh gosh, yes.
because you know it, again with people not knowing
Hmm.
things are connecting and realizing how bitters work. Like you said, they prepare your digestive system.
Hmm.
It is again part of the wonderful design of the human body. The
Right,
bitter taste triggers your
right.
your stomach to start preparing. It starts
Hmm.
releasing acids. So what
Right,
do? We get something bitter and oh, I don't want that. Mm,
exactly.
yeah, go ahead, just you know take it down. Just suck it down. You'll be okay. Uh, and trust me, like I said, you will be okay because we've gotten so acclimated to sweet foods
Hmm.
now. We're missing out on a major component.
Right.
And it also may equate, because I'm also big on connecting the dots. That's why I tell
Hmm.
you, big on connecting the dots. All health, they say, begins in the gut.
Hmm.
We have a lot of digestive issues. Again,
Hmm.
both because of the foods we eat, but also because of the foods that we do not eat.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking because we're eating more sweet foods,
Hmm.
as bitter foods, that's
Hmm.
also playing into the fact that our digestive system is not functioning well.
Right, right.
Uh, I got, like I said, at first it was, I won't say I didn't like it. It was just, it kind of caught me off guard. But
Okay.
I started, I don't know, I kind of equated like eating a piece of ginger. You get that first, uh,
Hmm.
but yet I love ginger.
Hmm.
Fresh ginger, it kind of catches you off guard. Uh,
Right,
and you know what? I found taking bitters was the same way that but after a while, you get
right,
used to it.
right. Hmm.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of times, people don't understand all the different ways that you can have these herbs. So bitters is usually a tincture, which is an alcohol-based extraction of the herbs. But you can have a tea, you can have an elixir. There are shrubs, there are lozenges. There are so many different ways that you can have them, and they can be blended with other fruits, vegetables, and other herbs to make them more palatable. So you still get it without that that initial. Yeah.
Uh, what are your recommendations for someone totally new
Mhm.
to herbs? Like, is there a place where you recommend them to start with a certain herb that you may recommend, or is it just open? And assuming there's no health issues that they're trying to
Right, right,
address.
right. It depends on what their issues are. I always like to stick with adaptogens. Um, so adaptogens are basically herbs that kind of help the body across the board. They do, as the word say, adaptogen. It helps your organs, your body work in a more balanced manner. So if it's excessive, it'll help tone it down a little bit. If it's lacking, it'll help bring it up a little bit. But they're all the adaptogens by their definition, they are not um, toxic in any way. So you can drink it every day of your life, and it's not going to like do anything. It's not going to build up and have a horrible reaction or anything. Um, it's not one of those where you have to worry so much about because when we're talking about dosages, very often we look at the size of the person, the age of the person, and their physical, you know, physical well-being. Um, Very often, there's a you don't have to be so precise with that. It's a they're very forgiving herbs. So, some examples of adaptogens would be um, dandelion, um, there's Sashandra. A lot of, the thing of it is, and this is one of the things that I'm starting to research a little bit more, because very often when you used to hear adaptogens, and you start getting into it, there are all these exotic herbs from faraway lands, and they work wonderfully, like Shishandra berry, ashwagandha, all of these things work amazingly well. But there are herbs that are here in the United States. We don't have to go all the way over to some other country. Um, so if you really want to start with something that is safe, that will, I guess, give you a little bit of a boost or help cleanse you out a little bit, um, a tea of dandelion is great. It's great for the liver, digestive system, reproductive organs, all of that. It works well. Um, And that's one of those where if you just need an everyday light something, you just make a tea of it. If you are dealing with a more severe issue, which your friendly neighborhood herbalist is helping you with, they'll give you a stronger um, uh, 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 formula. Um, or maybe they'll give you a tincture or something like that. So dandelion's a nice one to start with. Chamomile, surprisingly, because when I think of chamomile, I think of what's her name? Potter, Beatrix Potter, and the rabbit in
Okay.
what is that name? Oh gosh. I Peter Rabbit. Yes,
Yes.
there you go. Anyway, so I think of that and I think it's just a sweet little light little thing. I tell you, chamomile does so many amazing things. The way that it calms your nerves is by addressing inflammation in the brain.
Mm,
So there are diuretics, well, not necessarily diuretics, but things that will, address inflammation in other parts of your body, and it will address other parts of your body. But it really is works for the brain, and that's how it calms you because it takes the stress off of the nerves. If the nerves are, you know, engorged or uh, the tissue around the nerves are engorged, they're stressing the nerves.
mm.
If you take away uh, that inflammation, the nerves become more calm. So, so chamomile is one of those things where, a light bit of it can actually help with your digestion. Can help you sleep. It could just be a nice calming thing. If you've got a really seriously stressful day and you're dealing with anxiety, it can help with that. So, and it's one of those that you can have as long as you're not allergic. That's another thing I have to remember to tell people. If you have an allergy to something, don't take it as an herb because
Yeah.
somebody said it's going to work for you.
Mhm.
And I've had that happen where, we go through this whole treatment and someone says, well, I'm allergic to it. Then why are we doing this? You told me that in the beginning. We would have done something completely different. So yeah, be mindful of things. So we've got. I want to give you three nice ones. So we've got dandelion, we've got chamomile. I've already talked about nettles and how nourishing that is. Um, let's give you one more. Oh, mushrooms. Mushrooms are really big right now. I guess
Yes.
you've been reading a lot about it. And I have had some really amazing experiences with mushrooms, specifically reishi and lion's mane. They're both adaptogens as well. So they help the entire body system sort of equalize itself. Lion's mane is wonderful for cognitive thinking, for getting rid of that brain fog,
Mm.
for helping you like really be able to recall your memory. And so I have always had issues with that thing, remembering, yeah, that thing. So I have always had issues with that. And then someone said, "Oh, well, when you get older, like I can't blame this on age.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to do something about this." So yeah, so lion's mane, reishi is another one that's just really an all around uh um mushroom that actually some of the species of reishi are native to the United States, which is great. And lion's mane is being cultivated in the United States also. So we don't necessarily have to, if we're thinking of living sustainably, depending on an herb that comes from 3,000 miles away in this tiny little village that, is not really, it's not sustainable. Especially when there's so much overlap with what these herbs can do.
Mm. That's like a comment uh, for those who may view this recording. If you want to learn more about mushrooms, I happen to watch. It's called Fantastic Fungi.
Oh,
I,
yes.
yes, I think it aired on. I think it was Netflix. I can't remember what platform, but
Hmm.
if anyone, please look it up, Google it,
It was
find out.
really good.
Yes, uh,
Definitely.
yeah,
Hmm.
find out where you can watch it. They also will air it. They'll do sometimes like a summit where they'll
Right.
show segments,
Hmm.
on the web. I found it to be like it was amazing in terms of what I learned.
Right.
Changed my
Right.
view of that
Hmm.
mushrooms aren't just those tan, brown things that we see. I saw mushrooms with some really amazing colors.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And, and
And speaking of Netflix, since we're in this sort of Netflix thing right now, um, Blue Blue Zone.
mm,
Blue Zone, there is a series where a researcher goes to areas where known as blue zones, where there is considerable number of people living over the age of 100.
mm,
And so he goes and he is looking at their diet and what medicinals they're having, what herbs they're having, and also their exercise, their community, because like we said way in the beginning, it's not just one thing. It's not just what they're eating, it's how they're living.
mm,
It's their outlook.
mm,
So
yes,
that's yeah, Blue Zone. You got to check that one out too.
yes. And again, for people, if not, at least Google it if you're not familiar with it. There is one blue zone in the United States. I believe it's in
In
California.
California, yes. Hmm.
Uh, and it's a community of, I believe there's Seventh-day Adventists who
Hmm.
follow a particular diet and
Hmm.
lifestyle. And they
Right.
tend to have more people over the age of 100.
Yeah.
And it's not just about getting older, it's
Mm.
people at the age of 100 who are still functional.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. Hmm.
so this whole quest for being healthier is not just, some people think, oh, you just want to live longer. No, it's not about living longer. It's about
Hmm.
living longer, healthier.
Right.
They said, yeah,
Living
I
well. Yeah.
got the quote. It's something like that. I think someone actually titled a book, but it's, yeah, we're living longer, yeah, but dying sooner. It's something to
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, because we're checking out. Our bodies are checking out. Like I said, in our 60s, and we could into our 90s.
Right.
We're getting
Right.
sicker earlier. Um,
Right.
you
Hmm.
know, so that's really what we want to help people try to change that. That you don't like being sick is just we don't want to normalize it.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I have friends, and I always bring this up, who kind of wear it as a badge of honor that they have certain illnesses, but they're taking so many medications, you
Yeah.
know. And I'm like, that's not something that you to be proud of, you know.
No.
Yeah, like,
No.
oh yeah, I mean, I'm taking 11 pills, man. I'm taking 12 or 30. That's not you don't even want to be able to say that.
No. Now, wouldn't it be wonderful if you can turn it around to, well, I did 12,000 steps today. No,
Yes,
I did 20,000 steps today. Beat that.
exactly. Uh, uh, yeah. I just want to circle back to I want to give you your props when you talk about adaptogens. I remember the first time you joined one of our sessions and you went over adaptogens. It just so happened that I don't know if I was preparing for your session, but I had just learned about
Mhm.
adaptogens. Like, so when you said, I was like, yeah, I was prepared for class. Like I had learned about ashwagandha. That's for some reason that's the one that always sticks in my mind. Ashwagandha and nettles.
And
Those, if I was to take a test, those two I will remember.
Mhm.
I'm glad you mentioned dandelions. Yeah, because I have to remember that. Now, my question to you, as we come to, I said, here, the end here, do you have any recommendations as to what form is one form better than the other? Like, do you get the actual roots? Do you get it in powder form? Do you get it fresh?
Wow.
Doesn't
It
matter.
all depends. It depends on what's going on.
Okay.
Um, as an herbalist, I would check out what's going on with the person. If there's someone who I feel needs live energy, then I would
Mhm.
use fresh.
Okay.
And if it's something that is, uh, uh, something that's been going on for a long time and just hasn't, you know, not getting any better, not getting any worse, just there, I would probably use a root. If it's something that just sort of like flared up, I may use the leaves. So okay, we're not all like herbalists out there, and we don't all have access to everything. Sometimes what you see in the stores is it. I get to use roots and barks and pollen and all these other stuff because I go out into the woods and I gather it. Not all of us either know how to do it or even willing to do it, which I get because
Mhm.
there be bugs out there. But um, so I would start with a leaf that's dried and make a tea, or a flower that's dried and make a tea. Generally speaking, they're safer. Generally speaking, um, I'm being very grand and big about this. Um, Once you get to roots, sometimes it can be very effective, but sometimes work a little faster than one would want it to. So we don't want someone to take a sip and go running to the bathroom immediately or anything like that. We don't want that. Um, so yeah, I would say start with what you can find in the store, in the grocery store. Traditional medicinals is a really wonderful line. Um, and they have nice blends and they're flavorful and it uh because of FTC regulations, we can't actually say this is meant for this, this is good for that. You can't really do that. So they have uh slumber time tea type of thing, you know, or happy tummy tea, something like that. So try something like that. Try a blend that kind of speaks to you. Okay. Like I said, traditional medicinals uh is a nice one. Um, celestial seasonings, if there is nothing else going on, give it a try.
Okay.
If nothing else, if for nothing else, you get the flavor of some of those herbs. You replace something that you're replacing something that may not be as healthy, like a bottle of soda or a coffee or you know, something like that. If it's one of those things where I need something warm to drink now or I need a drink now, start where you are.
Got it. It's funny that you chose celestial because I listened to someone else and they kind of did what you did when they mentioned that. They kind of laughed. And there's no disrespect to to the brand.
Absolutely not.
Uh, but I think it's such
Very
a
tasty stuff.
brand and a good starting point. It's like an
Hmm.
entry point for most people.
Hmm.
So I definitely would say, yeah, if it's new to you, yeah, start
Hmm.
with something milder. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
allows you to transition into that taste, and
Right.
as a replacement.
Hmm.
And then,
Hmm.
like I said, you come in and then you grow up with your health and wellness, which is something again connecting back to where we started is something I explain to people that why you just come in where you are because you'll find that if you just stay with it, you're on different levels. You're going to start craving
Mm.
more of that of everything when you
Hmm.
start to feel better.
Right.
Then if you start to feel I got a little bit more energy, I'm sleeping better, you know,
Yeah.
my cognitive
Yeah.
abilities are beginning to change. Whatever it might be, you're gonna like, I want some more of that. You know,
Yeah. Hmm.
I what comes to mind is there was a movie years ago, I think it's when Harry Met Sally. There was a scene that was really that became famous a woman in the diner. She
Mm.
just started sounding like she was having an orgasm.
Oh, yes.
And the old lady said, I want to have what she's
That's what
having.
she's having. Yes.
I think, you know, that's how we are when we begin to get healthy. It's like,
Yeah.
I want more of that.
Yes.
And then you'll
Yes.
start searching out better quality, you know,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it'll just lead you. It's like, again, your mind, your body, your spirit will just lead you if you
Right.
just
Right.
allow it where you need to be.
Yeah. And when you see people who are living that life, like uh quickly back to that series, Blue Zones, and you see these people and they're moving around and sometimes they're dancing or they're working in their gardens, and then someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm 89 years old." It's like, well, okay, well, whatever you're eating, I'll
Yes,
have that.
I have that. Yes.
If
Mhm,
I can do that when I'm 89,
mhm.
sure. Yeah.
Uh, I challenge people, I said, I want you to think about the last person that you knew who died of old age.
Mm,
And it's amazing that most people they don't know about it.
yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
have relatives that, die from actual old age. Um,
There are actual statistics saying that the previous generation, maybe like my grandparents, how you often say, well, because of science and everything, people are living longer.
Mhm.
Well, with this generation, we're actually living shorter than our previous generation.
Yes, yes.
And
And
just, mhm,
children, like I said, will probably live even shorter lives.
mm,
And if they are able to live longer, this goes back to they'll live longer, but they'll die sooner.
yeah, yeah.
Because when I said when I was going through the physical, the several medical staff said to me they were actually kind of shocked that at someone at, my age was you don't have any chronic illnesses, you've never been to the hospital, you've never broken any bones, nothing like that. I said no, no, it goes that you're an anomaly because
Mhm,
we had young children coming in with
yeah.
diabetes, cholesterol problems, so we can definitely see
Mhm,
the change. And again, why we all want to be intentional
mhm,
about our health,
absolutely.
especially as we get older.
Mhm,
Can't leave it up to chance because there's just too many things we're dealing with.
right. And we can't go with the flow. We can't just do what everybody else is doing because everybody else is doing it.
Correct. Absolutely
Uh,
agree.
right.
Mhm. Um, so, are there any parting words? What
Mm.
advice do you want to give? What can you share something maybe you learned from your grandmother? Words of wisdom when it comes to connecting with the plants. Mhm.
Mm, drink it, it's good for you.
Okay.
No, it was she was very practical about it all. I mean, why do I have to explain these things? You just do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And in some ways we really need to start thinking that way. Okay, yeah, you don't like the taste of kale, but it has the nutrition and the iron that you need, so just eat it.
Yep. Just eat it. Mhm.
Or find ways to cook. I think that must be it. There are a lot of things out there that are so good for you and so much better than conventional foods. And a lot of people don't eat it because they don't like the way it tastes or the way it looks. But there are a million different ways to cook it, to steam it, to crumble it that is more palatable. So if you find something that you hear about, don't discount it because the way you first see it is not appetizing to you. Try it another way and then try it another way. I mean, there are cultures all over the world making, amazing meals and drinks and uh uh tisanes or herbal teas. Try something else. There's always a
Absolutely.
way.
Yes, absolutely agree. You know, because it's better to get something, you know, like 80% if you can't get 100%. Don't
Mm,
discard the whole thing because that's something else I try to stress. Don't look at it becoming healthier as a zero sum or all or nothing.
right,
You know, you make adjustments here and there. And like I said, because it's just not one thing,
right.
you got this area that's lacking.
Hmm.
Step up this area over here. Uh,
Yeah,
because it's really the cumulative of your lifestyle choices.
absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Uh, so uh, Audie, I want to have you back for that bitters.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yes, because the way you responded, and that's right.
I have a couple of really nice recipes I'm working on.
Okay, all right. That
I tend to give them to my friends as gifts for Christmas, and they kind of look at me kind of strange, but
well, you won't get any strange looks here.
okay.
But yeah, I would just love to have the conversation because I actually enjoy them, and I've been looking at the ingredients on the bottles that I buy and think, okay, can I make
Hmm.
these? So
Yes. Yes, you can. Mhm.
Okay, that's what I want to hear. Uh, as always, it has been a pleasure.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
been wonderful talking to you. Yes.
that's, so like I said, I will definitely reach out again uh, and invite you back for another discussion.
Okay.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Hmm? Oh, and how can people reach out to you? Anybody that wants to,
Ah,
engage services or learn more about your events? Hmm?
right. Okay. So my website, Kale and Happiness, all spelled out, .com. And my email is Audie, Audie, at kaleandhappiness.com.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Got that. Uh,
Wonderful.
all right. So again, I will, like I said, hopefully we'll talk to you again in the future so we can continue this conversation about health and wellness.
Wonderful. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon.
Great.
All right.